Okay, so here we have two examples of scientific notation. You can see we have a very large number and we have a very small number. So this is two examples of why we would use scientific notation. So we can see there's a coefficient on each one. So this is the number, and it's always going to have a number between 1 and, it says between 1 and 10, but it's between 1 and 9 because it can't be 0 on the front and it can't be 10. It can't be a two-digit number. It has to be a one-digit number. So we move the decimal place over until we get to that one essential number. That's called our coefficient. We always have it times a base of 10, and the exponent actually tells us is it a big number or a small number. So if it's a positive exponent, it's a large number. If it's a negative exponent, it's a small number. So it tells us it's a decimal or it's not a decimal. Really, that's what the exponent lets us know. So we're going to continue to compute with scientific notation. This video is going to be for dividing in scientific notation. So same idea we were doing with multiplication. We're going to group the leading numbers together and then the powers of 10 together. We're going to start by dividing the leading numbers, or we do actually want to divide them, not just simplify. So dividing the leading numbers and then dividing the powers of 10. Remember, when you're dividing powers, you're going to use the quotient rule of exponents, which means you're going to subtract their exponents. So when you're multiplying scientific notation, you're using the power rule, which means we add exponents. When you're dividing scientific notation, you're going to use the quotient rule, which means you're subtracting the exponent. So again, just more practicing some of those skills that we've done over the last few weeks. So we can see as they're doing this, we have 4.9 and 7. So that's the first ones they grouped. Those are the coefficients. 10 to the negative 3 and 10 to the negative 8. So here they have them grouped out second. So they're actually dividing 0.7. And then they're going to use the quotient rules on the second part. So you can see it's negative 3 minus negative 8. You're subtracting from top to bottom. So now if I look at this next part here, I just had to scooch down because it's a little bit of a bigger graphic. So we end up with a positive 5 because this is going to be positive 8. Minus negative gives us plus. Two negatives make a positive there when you hear that double negative. So negative 3 plus 8 is actually positive 5. One thing that we do have to note on this one is that we can't leave it as 0.7. That's not scientific notation. We have to have a number between 1 and 10. Actually, not 10. It's 1 through 9. So you can't have double digits and you can't have 0. Okay, so it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So we need to move this decimal place over one time, and we're moving from left to right, which means we're taking a small number and we're making it look larger. So that means that it's a negative movement as far as the exponent goes. So we're going to subtract 1, and then we also have this 10 to the 5th. So now we can use that power rule again, and we'd have negative 1 plus 5, and that would give us 4. So we want to make sure we understand that we're moving that number, that decimal place, to the right, which means we have to subtract an exponent from it to put it into proper scientific notation. You do have to do this for Alex. It is proper, and you'd have to do this even if you were working out of the book or doing anything like that because it's the proper scientific notation. You can't have 0 or a double digit in front of the decimal place. It has to be a single digit number, 1 to 9. All right, let's go ahead and practice this. So we have two problems here. We have 7.2 times 10 to the negative 6 divided by 8 times 10 to the negative 9th. So let's group our coefficients. We have 7.2 divided by 8, and then we're grouping our powers of 10, so 10 to the negative 6 and 10 to the negative 9th, sorry. So I divided, whoop, that went a little too fast, I think. Oh, okay, I know why it started to do that. So 7.2 divided by 8 is 0.9, so I know already I'm going to have to fix that, so I'll keep that in the back of my mind, times 10, and now I'm showing the subtraction here. Stop moving forward. This mouse is, maybe use one that actually clicks real quick. Okay, that one's a little better. So we have 10 to, it's negative 6, that's the one on top, minus negative 9. So remember, it's always from top to bottom. You're subtracting. Don't get rid of that negative too early because two negatives make a positive. So now I can combine those. So I have 0.9 times 10 to the third. It's positive 3. But I already noted this is not 1 to 9. It's less than 1. So we need to fix that for it to be in scientific notation. It's not actually in scientific notation yet. It's kind of there, but it's not in proper scientific notation. So we're going to need to move that decimal place 1 time. And because I'm moving it to the right, I'm going to subtract 1. Because I'm going from a small number to a large number, I'm going from 0.9 to 9. So if I'm going from smaller to larger, I'm going to subtract. If I'm going from larger to smaller, I'm going to add. So it's kind of backwards from what you might think a little bit. So we get 9 times 10 to the second. All right, let's try this next one. So again, let's group our coefficients, 1.8 and 6, and then group our powers of 10. So now we have -9 and 6. So there's not another negative down here, so we're not going to have this double negative issue. So let's go ahead and divide. So we get 0.3. Again, I already know I'm going to have to fix that. 0.3 is not proper. And then we have 10. And it's -9 minus 6. There's no double negative, so I want to combine them. I want to make sure I go -9. That's where I'm starting, and I'm going 6 more negative. So it's actually 9 plus 6, and I'm going to keep the negative. So I'm going to end up with -15. All right, so now I need to fix this. So I'm going to move the decimal place 1 time because it's less than 1, so I have to fix it. So I moved it 1 time to the right, so I'm going to subtract 1 again. So I'm going to end up with -16 instead of -15. And it's just 3 times 10 to the -16. So that is proper scientific notation. That was dividing in scientific notation. I hope that helped, and I will see you on the next one.